I had made $30,000 in the span of 2 days. Never seen money appear out of thin air like that. That event cost us like 200 grand plus to go throw. And it made over $1 million. What's up, wealth builders? I've got a solo podcast today where I'm going to be talking about throwing events and how you can make a lot of money for your business by throwing events. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I'm fresh off our biggest event ever. It's called the Tykes Summit. It's for my Tykes NFT project, and we absolutely killed it. There was over 1,000 people at the event here in Las Vegas. It was a 4-day deal, and let me tell you, it was the funnest thing we've ever thrown. We have another one coming up in Hollywood, April 4th through the 6th, so definitely check that one out. We'll link to it down below. But not here to pitch events. I'm here to tell you why you need to be throwing events and what kind of events you can throw depending on where you're at in your business, personal brand, etc. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to throw meetups. I'm going to show you how to throw smaller events, and then how to throw medium to large events like what we just did. Okay, so and by the way, I one day envision that I'll probably throw like a 10,000 person event at some point, and maybe even larger. Who knows? But let me tell you what I know about events to this point. So my first time ever really throwing events was back in 2018. I started out just with a free meetup. This was when Wealthy Investor was called Future Flipper. And I said, you know what? I kind of want to own Las Vegas real estate. And so I'm going to throw the best meetup that is in the city. They're going to be fun. They're going to have great people. And if I can throw the best meetups, then it's going to be great for my business. People are going to send me deals. I'm going to make some great connections, wholesalers, realtors. I'll probably raise some money. So, holding a meetup's great. And sure enough, our very first meetup, I rented out a classroom at a title company. They actually gave me it completely free. I put it on like meetup.com completely free. And the people who attended it, we actually charged them $20 that went to charity just because the room could only fit like 100 people. And I felt like we were going to probably oversell if it was free. And sure enough, I was right. It ended up booking out at $20 a person. And so whether I wanted to donate it or not, I would have made $2,000 for basically an event that cost me nothing. But it wasn't really about that. It was about just gaining that authority by having a meetup. And so this is the first level of event that I want to share with you because everyone can do it. Everyone can throw a meetup. It doesn't have to be 100 people. It could be 10 people. It could be 20, 30, 40, 50 people. But if you can get good at just hosting meetups and getting people together, by being the host, you have instant authority. You don't have to be the most skilled in the room. You don't have to be, the richest in the room or the most famous in the room. If you're all those things, then great, but you don't have to be. Just by being the host, you get authority. And the cool thing is, by being the host, you get to bring in other people, maybe like me or somebody else who you really want, because as you start to grow an audience with meetups and other things, it becomes more enticing for a guy like me to go speak, because if you have this big meetup, it's good for me to speak because it gets me exposure for my business and anything else that, I potentially want to sell. So, I think that regardless of where you are at in your business, throwing a meetup is an amazing thing. In fact, we believe in meetups so much at Wealthy Investor that we train our students how to throw good meetups because, and by the way too, we will sponsor their meetups and help with the cost of the meetup because we know that, hey, if we lend our brand to it with Wealthy Investor, it will attract more people than maybe the other person would have been able to attract on their own. Plus, the person hosting the meetup can get affiliates for Wealthy Investor. And it just ends up being this great thing all the way around. We might get some signups, make some money as a company, and they get our authority and name and maybe even some sponsorship dollars to help throw the meetup. So win-win overall. We love meetups as an entry point to throwing events. And you should too in your business, whatever the case is. I don't care if you're in real estate. I don't care if you're in entrepreneurship, if you're in cars, watches, whatever. Start a meetup today. And just by being the host of that meetup, you're going to make big connections with guest speakers, with the attendees. Everyone's going to look to you when they have something, right? Somebody gets a deal. You think they're just going to somebody else at the meetup, or they're going to go to the host who's like on the stage, who has that authority, who also has all of the data, by the way. If people are going to come to your event, make sure you always get their phone number, their email, their name, everything, right? Especially if it's free. If it's free, they better sign up, okay? And you now have their data. You can follow up with them after the event. If you have a product or service that you pitched at the event, then, you can hit them up about that too. So yeah, I think meetups are a great way to start. They're very low cost. You could start at a coffee shop. You can move your way to a free classroom. There's plenty of free classrooms in title companies and schools and, business facility. Like, especially if you have one of those co-work spaces, like there's lots of ways to throw a meetup for basically free. And you could even host it at like a bar or something, and everybody pays for their own drinks and stuff. I've done that many times. So you don't have to pay a lot of money, okay? So that was how I got started in the event space, and throwing a meetup served me really well. This led to me throwing my very first event, that was like a true paid event at my office at the end of 2018. I charged $3,000 for one day, and it was 10 people. And it's funny because out of those 10 people who showed up, I think 3 of them work for me now. This was like 5 years ago. So it's crazy to think like those people who were like the first people to really know about me were also now the people still riding with me to this day. So it's pretty cool. But Brian Davila, by the way, my partner at Wealthy Investor, was one of those people. And Michael Stevenson, who is our top acquisitions guy for Home Run Offer, he goes on appointments. He was one of those people as well. But nonetheless, I held this event and I said, hey, I've never done this before. Many people were asking me how to flip houses and how I run my business. And at the time in 2018, I was just completing my first year doing over 100 house flips in a year. I said, hey, I want to throw this event. It's going to be one day. I'm going to show you everything from start to finish. And I'm going to give you a blueprint for your business. And, it was like a 9-hour day, and I taught it all by myself. No breaks really at all. And we had a taco truck come to the office and feed them for lunch and stuff. And it was cool. I think the event itself probably cost me like $500. Like it was the cost of tacos and like some t-shirts. And, these 10 people came. I sold it out in like 2 days. I was shocked. Like I had made $30,000 in the span of 2 days. Never seen kind of like money appear out of thin air like that. I was used to flipping houses where we had to invest money, fix things up, all this stuff. And this education money was different, where it was like, hey, if anyone wants to come, boom. And boom, 30 grand right there, basically all profit. And it was amazing. Well, I throw that event, people come, they have a great time, build relationships. And I basically didn't throw an event after that for a while. I continued on with my meetups, and those were great. People enjoyed them. I got deals. It was amazing. And then I ended up throwing my second event at the end of 2019, which was my Big Bear Retreat. And so Big Bear Retreat, I opened it up to 10 people again, and I said, hey, we're going to go to Big Bear. This is going to be a multi-day event. We're going to learn at the cabins, where I'm going to teach you my systems and processes for flipping houses. I'm also teach you how I'm acquiring all these Airbnbs in Big Bear. And, we're going to have fun hiking and other cool things. And we're going to have dinners, and like, it's going to be this whole thing. And so, and also I let them stay at my Airbnbs as well. So the room was also included. I charged $5,000 for this, and, it sold out in like 2 days again. It sold out super fast. Boom, 50 grand. Now, this event did have more cost. We had a lot more food options. We had other things going on at the event. I would say I probably spent, I don't know, $5 grand for the event. So the rest was profit. And this is where things start to change that I didn't do in my first event. In my first event, and even at my meetups, I never had anything to sell. It was like, hey, let's just do deals together. Hope you enjoyed the event. Hope you enjoyed the meetup. This event, I knew I was going to launch my coaching program in 2020. And so I said, hey, the upsell is this, my first coaching program. It's going to be $10,000 for the year. And, if anyone wants to sign up, cool. I think like half of the 10 people signed up for coaching. And then, another 5 people signed up on Instagram. And like I had made $100,000 going into 2020, which I had never made 6 figures in education or anything. So, the reason I bring this up is this event was my first like out of state experience-based event, and it had an actual upsell at the end. Now I didn't like sell hard or anything like that. It was just casual. And I'm like, hey, I would love to have you guys continue this for the next year. And it worked out pretty well because these were already like people who believed in what I was doing. You know, these weren't people who had no idea who I was. And we had just spent an amazing time together. But basically the reason I bring this up is if you are doing a meetup where you're going to hold a small event like this, I suggest you have some kind of upsell offer, mainly because to fill events as time goes on, you're going to need to spend a lot of money on advertising and affiliates and other things. And, you know, as the venues get bigger, the costs explode, which I'll talk about here at the 1,000-person event level. But, you know, time goes on, you realize these things. So we go into 2020. And I was like, I'm just going to throw another Big Bear event. And so I had booked another Big Bear event for March of 2020. And you can guess what happened. It got canceled. So I ended up refunding people and canceling that event. And at that point, I decided no more meetups because of COVID. And so basically, I didn't do really anything for like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months during this COVID period. And I wasn't monetizing events at all. Well, as we go into kind of the end of 2020, I start holding these masterminds in my coaching program. Now, these events were not public. Like I didn't sell tickets to it. It was just included in the coaching program. And so people would just come to my office because we had enough space for the coaching program at that time. There's maybe like 20 students, 25, 30. And you know, we would just sit around my conference table, mastermind, and they were just great events. Then I said, you know what, maybe I'll throw a workshop in my office. And so this was the first time I started doing these workshop events. And I don't really remember what I charged for the first one. I want to say it was like $2,500 for like a 2-day workshop, or maybe it might even been a 1-day workshop, just kind of like the first time I did it. And then I had a $5,000 like premium ticket, which gave them a second day. And that was for 10 people only. And we were going to just dive into those 10 people's businesses. But yeah, with that workshop, once again, cost me very little money to do. We already had the office space. All it was just like getting some food and drinks for them. And so basically it was like pure cash flow to hold those workshops. And then people would also sign up for coaching after. And it was great. So I did a few of those workshops and they worked out really amazing. And eventually my coaching program started to get really big. And so we could no longer fit it at my office anymore. And so, you know, in 2021, we started to rent out other space. And so I actually got this space downtown for free from one of my employees at TrueBooks. Her husband manages downtown space. And so she was like, hey, if you're looking for a space to fit like 100 people, we got a great space. And so we got this space, I think it was called like the Innovation Center here in Vegas, a really good space. And that was when we started hosting these bigger masterminds for our students. And, you know, it was free. All we had to do was pay for the food and everything else. It was great. At these events, because they're already in the coaching program, it's not like we could go sell them coaching, but we would sell them other products and services that they would need, like TrueBooks, or I'd bring in affiliate partners like Steve Trang, had a sales training course one time. And, you know, I've brought in these other guys who, you know, we would do a JV on. So, you know, we did that for probably 2 masterminds. And by then, the coaching program was starting to really explode. And so we had to rent a hotel for the first time. Now, this is where events start getting expensive. Once you start renting out space and all these things, and you have to learn to negotiate with hotels. And so basically what I'm saying is for 2 years, I basically was doing like high profit, low cost events, right? They were either, I forgot to mention, one of my first masterminds was at my living room, so that was free. But, you know, like the rest of these, whether they were at my office or in a free space, like all we were really paying for was food and drinks. They were all just really one day for the most part. And at that point, we started to get to 2-day events. And, you know, because we were spending so much money at the hotel, they were making us book, you know, multiple days anyway. And so we said, all right, well, we might as well throw a 2-day event. And so the D Hotel was downtown, and they were like the cheapest and nicest for our budget. And I remember we booked it, and I don't remember how much it cost. I want to say maybe it was like 60 grand or something to book it out for about 200 people. But that was the first time we ever started selling tickets to an event, because the rest, it used to always just be for our students. So we started selling at the event, and sure enough, it ended up being a very good thing, because our students got a far better experience, because now, we had the budget to go spend all this money on cool things. Like we would rent out bars for after parties, dinners, breakfast, food. Like we were like giving a grade A experience at this point, because we were getting ticket sales and everything else. Plus we are now able to sell, new attendees into the coaching program. And so the events were a big success. I remember that first event probably made I'm just going off the top of my head, probably like $300,000. And so to spend 60 and make 300, it was a really cool thing. We were like, wow, this event thing is great. We ended up re-upping and doing it again at the D Hotel, and we had about 250 at the next one. And once again, it was an amazing experience. And we knew we were going to have to move to another hotel for the next one, because we were holding events every quarter for my coaching program, and we still are today. Well, we end up going to the Sahara Casino, which is close to downtown. It was nicer than the D. And for that event, I think we had around 300 people 2 times in a row. And we did the same format, 2-day event, our students, new people, we got amazing guest speakers, everything else. And, we started to learn how to monetize the events better. And, they were making over $500,000 at an event. And so it was super cool. As we started to scale even more, we realized okay, we could go really big on these now. We understand the game. We've been doing this without even buying traffic or doing paid ads or anything. Let's go for it. And so in September, we held our first big event at the Mandalay Bay. And so there was 700 people there. Hormozy was our keynote speaker, and we had a bunch of other great speakers. And that event cost us I don't even remember, probably 200 grand plus to go throw. And, it made over $1 million in, just everything at the end of the day, coaching, sales, and other things. Probably made over 2 million now that I think about it. So yeah, the event ended up being great. It was an amazing time, and people were just stunned at how much fun it was in a big setting. And it's allowed us to, just kind of now be one of the, if not, I would say we're probably the best at throwing events in our space, because most people throw an event like that once a year. We do it every quarter, and they keep getting better. And this led to our last one, the Tyke Summit, which was in, early January, and we had over 1,000 people. And Cody Sanchez was the end keynote speaker, and that event was crazy. Once again, over 7 figures in revenue. But we definitely did spend way too much on that event. I didn't realize our costs were getting out of control. I think we spent over $400,000, which wasn't necessary. We could have avoided a lot of that. But basically, I've held every kind of event you can imagine. I wanted to just give you how it has scaled from my living room and Big Bear in my office to over 1,000 people at the Mirage, to now our next one's in Hollywood, California. So we're going to throw our first event, massive event, in another city. So that's going to be a whole ordeal. And I think we'll have over 1,000 people again. And we want to hold one after that in another city, because we want to take these events nationwide and really just grow the brand. And so we've renamed the events to WealthCon. So this next one's going to be WealthCon Hollywood, and whatever the next one is, WealthCon Miami or WealthCon Dallas or WealthCon Austin. That's what we're going to do. But yeah, it's crazy what we've been able to accomplish and do. We know so much more now about negotiating with hotels, venues, AV, all these different things. We've learned a lot because we've thrown a lot of events, and I'm just super proud of our team because, like I said, for one, almost no one will ever throw a 1,000-person event. Like, it's a lot of work, costs a lot of money, takes a lot of promotion to fill the seats, the guest speakers, all that. But to do it every quarter takes, nobody does it. We're the only ones. So it's a lot of work, but let me give you some of the things I've learned. WealthCon is coming to Hollywood. If you've ever been to any of my events, you know they're life-changing. We get the best speakers, we have the best venues, we have the best parties, after parties, and networking that you could imagine. I've met so many people who ended up becoming business partners of mine at my events. I've made great relationships, and the people who have attended have done the same. And so I want to see you at my next one in Hollywood, California, April 4th to the 6th. It's going to be absolutely incredible. We've got speakers like Chris Crone, Lewis House, Tatiana Landano. We've got Vanessa Lau. We got Robuilt from Bigger Pockets. The list goes on and on. We have a huge lineup of speakers, and I want you to be there. So if you want to attend the event and learn more, go to wealthcon.org. Once again, you can go to wealthcon.org and go learn more about the event and register today. Hey, if you're looking to grow your real estate investing business, whether you're just getting started trying to get your first deal or you're trying to scale and get to the next level, you need to join us at Wealthy Investor. We've got events every single quarter that are absolutely crazy. We've got online coaching programs where we have Zoom calls, a community every single week. We give you everything you need to know to start your business, scripts, processes, SOPs, all of it. It's for you so that you can dominate. So if you want to learn more about how to join our community and be mentored by me and some of our top coaches and be around other students who are absolutely crushing it, go to wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a free call with my team. Once again, wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a call today. So first off, once you start getting to, since we're talking about big events, once you get to an event of that scale, even like a 200-person, 300-person event, you're basically not making money on the front end. In fact, you're probably losing money. Our front end lost money. Like I said, we spent $400,000, which we did not need to do. And ticket sales did not cover all of that. So, in the end, if you're going to be profitable on these events, you have to do a really good job on the back end, upselling and getting people into whatever product or service you have. And so, I used to never be a guy who would like hard pitch and do that stuff. I'd just be like, hey, buy it if you want. But when you're literally like make or break, you're going to lose hundreds of thousands if you don't sell. You have to change your attitude. And so I've changed how I pitch on stage and when I pitch and how often I pitch. And, that's just the reality. Once you get to an event size that big, you have to. And I think people who go to these big events understand that, it's like, that's just kind of part of the game. If you go to a smaller intimate event, you don't necessarily have to because your costs aren't so high. But your costs are really high with these big events, especially once you start factoring in an ad cost. And here's the thing too, that's crazy. We spent that much money without like paying speakers, without really running ads. Like most people have to do both of those things. Most people will budget on a big event like that. They might budget $100,000, $200,000 just in speaker fees, and then they'll go spend $100,000 in ads. And so like their cost on an event might have been $700,000, to our 400 because I just know all these speakers personally and they're all friends and they all speak for free because of our relationship. And because, my social media is good, we were able to sell everything in our existing database of customers and students and everything else. So, I'm very fortunate with what we have because we're able to put so much more into the experience of people because we get these advantages other people don't, right? Like if somebody wanted me to go speak at their event, they're gonna have to pay me, right? Unless they're a friend of mine. But I very rarely speak at other events, mainly because I don't like leaving my family. It's a lot of work and, people would have to pay me a lot of money to make me go do it. A lot of these speakers, they charge $50, $100, $150,000. Gary Vee charges like $250,000 if you wanted to speak at your event. So, the speakers are very expensive. So I'm very blessed that I've been able to get great speakers without costing me anything. Hormozy speaks for free at my event. Cody Sanchez spoke for free. Basically, if you just look at the history of everything we've done, just amazing people speaking for free. My buddy Bradley, who's been on this show, all those people have been on the show too for the podcast. And so that's how we build great relationships. But our next event, we have some amazing speakers. We have Lewis Howes, who's a good buddy of mine. He's speaking. We have Chris Crone. We have Tot Londano. All these people have been on the podcast. We have, Lewis hasn't yet, and Chris is going to be. But we have, I got to look at my list right here. We've got Tim Story, who's a buddy of mine, Brent Daniels, Neil Patel, who's been on the podcast. My buddy Houston Crosta from Houston's Hot Chicken. Stephen Borelli, who's the founder of Cuts, which is what I'm wearing right now. Albert Preciado, Robuilt, or as he likes to be called, Rob Built. And then we got a bunch of our students, Omar Alfaro, Alex Camacho, Adrian Hernandez, and then Ivan Tejeda, our new coach for Airbnb, and Felicia Rexford. So we have a great list of people. And, for most, they would have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that list. And obviously I'm speaking too. So, pretty good all the way around, and I don't have to pay anything. So it's pretty amazing that we're able to do that just because of the relationships I've built. And so it allows us to spend more on other things that are good to help throw the event. But basically what I can say is this. If you're going to throw a big event, you got to have some kind of upsell or you will lose money. I can say this too. Personally, I don't know how much these big guest speakers move the needle. Every time I've looked at it and hiring like a famous celebrity for 6 figures, like I've thought about it. I just look at it and I'm like, man, is Gary Vee going to really like make my event sell that much more? Like, I don't know. Probably not. But, if I had a reason to get a relationship with Gary Vee and I just wanted to fast track it because I don't think I'm going to meet him. Well, I do think I'm going to end up meeting him organically through friends and other business dealings. So I think we're going to meet either way. But, if I really wanted to fast track it, then okay, I could do that. And that's one way to do it. But yeah, I don't know. When I look at it and I see the success of our events already without having to like go get these celeb speakers that charge all this money, I'm like, yeah, I don't think we really need them. I think we win with the people I already know. And I think our experience is what keeps people coming back. We have so many repeat attendees, not just in my coaching program, but people who never join the coaching because the experience is so good. And we've made them now multi-day events. Basically, our format is, 2 days at like the main area, like the event center, and then 1 day as like the MVP day, we call it. And so that's going to be like, for this one, for example, in Hollywood, our MVP day is on the 4th, the day before. And, basically it's going to be all day in my penthouse. And we're going to learn all about different business things and mastermind. It's going to be cool. And I always tell people this. You should always get the highest level ticket. If you're going to go to an event, get the highest level ticket. Being able to go to a thing like MVP day and hang out with me and the guest speakers and everything else, like if you're really going there to build relationships and try and make connections and learn things and pick people's brain, it's very hard to do when they're on stage, right? Like you're probably never even going to walk past them. But if you can go to these, these MVP type days or these VIP, whatever people call them at their events, that's the time to meet all these people and really build a relationship. So highly recommend that as an attendee, as an off topic. But I think in your marketing, you should let people know that too. Have different tiers of tickets. Don't just make one, because people will pay for access, right? Have a lower tier ticket that's general admission and it has certain things, and then have a higher tier ticket that gives them, real special access. We have 3 tiers. We got general admission, VIP, MVP, right? MVP gives that extra day, gives the access. General admission just lets people into the main event. And then VIP gives people access to the welcome parties and the after parties and those types of things, but not that extra day of content. So it's a little bit of stuff for everyone. But yeah, that's basically kind of my thoughts on big events. I think they're great. I think that If you can do a good job of marketing and getting speakers, it's amazing. I don't think you need to throw just some giant one right away. As I showed you over the years, we built up to throw in the giant one, but they're very difficult to do. Especially, it's very difficult to fill up a room and get people to come and travel to wherever it is. So the best way to start, in my opinion, to bring this all full circle, if you're just starting out, nothing is going to stop you from throwing a meetup. I think you can do that 1,000%, cost you basically nothing. You're good to go. Okay. From there, I think you could throw like a little mini event, a micro event that's not going to cost you much. You're going to get some food. You're going to go rent a small venue. You'll probably be into it for less than $1,000 and go charge people $100 a ticket, $500 a ticket, $1,000 a ticket, whatever like you think you can get, and go out and fill the room. The other thing I'll say about this is too, you always want to do whatever it takes to fill the room. So, if you've got to discount tickets and do promos and all that stuff, cool. We do it too, right? In fact, with this, right, we have the launch of, our event. So this is the promo. You can get 50% off the tickets just for the launch of our Hollywood WealthCon Hollywood. So use the link in the promo code below in this podcast to get 50% off. But, and that'll expire, by the way. It's our launch special. But I think that's a great way to just boost ticket sales, do a launch special like that, just to get people in the door, get the things moving and going and everything else. And, it gets people to take action quick. Because what people always do, we see this in events, is that they always procrastinate. And so if I say, hey, here's the tickets, and there's no discount or anything, people will literally just wait until like a week before the event. So you got to do something that drives them scarcity wise. Either it's, hey, there's only 10 tickets of this or 20 tickets, so you better buy your ticket now. And if you don't, you might not have a spot. Like that could work. But when it's a 1,000-person event like mine, people know there's going to be spots. And so there's not a ton of urgency. And so the way we do it is through promo codes. And then we do have limited tickets. Like the MVP is very limited. So if that's what you want, you better buy it because it will sell out. Sells out every time. So, in the end, promos are good, or just like a quantity scarcity. But you got to have some kind of scarcity to get people buying tickets, because they'll just wait until the last week. We always see a huge influx of ticket sales the last week of the event. It's just how it always goes. So keep that in mind as you are selling any kind of event, 1,000-person or 10-person, doesn't matter. Have some kind of scarcity element into it. But yeah, I think that these high profit, low cost events are amazing starting out. I love them. Great way to generate revenue. It's a great way to, get authority. It's a great way to go sell maybe your higher ticket products. And they're a lot of fun. You can actually connect with these people who want to know you and potentially be coached by you or by your service or whatever the case is. And then you can start scaling from there. You can move it to a 50-person, to a 100-person. Maybe you get to the 200-person mark and you got to rent the actual hotel and venue like we did. And it becomes this cool thing. So I think there's lots of ways to successfully run events, and they can all make you a lot of money. You just have to know the differences between each level. The last thing I'll say is, the main thing with event is just marketing it. So make sure you are talking about your event nonstop. You cannot just mention it once here or there. You need to constantly be talking about it. Bundle it into your other offers. Use it as a tool to get more sales for whatever it is. Hey, if you buy this, I'll give you a ticket to my upcoming event for free, right? Like do things like that to drive ticket sales, but also to drive sales of, whatever product you want to sell. So there's lots of ways to monetize an event and get the room filled and to make a lot of money and change a lot of lives. And, with the guest speakers, some are totally happy to speak for free. Maybe they just want you to pay their room and board and their airfare. Some might be willing to speak for free, but they want to pitch their own product. Once again, this just depends if you're willing to allow it on your stage, if the product makes sense for your audience, if it doesn't compete with your product, obviously. So those are things to be taken into consideration. And the other one would be, if you got to pay them, then cool. Like you'll pay them, and that's the cool thing. For me anyways, I don't really let other people pitch on my stage unless, I've approved it. But, because we have so many things that we're selling. I have so many businesses and companies like, people come to speak on my stage because it's great exposure for them, for people who had no idea who they were, to go be in front of 1,000 people who paid a lot of money to be at this event, to now know who you are and what you do is a big deal for them. And eventually maybe they'll sell them something down the road, after people start following them, whatever. So like for me, and also too, just to get the content and to say you've spoken on such a big stage, I mean, those are really big opportunities for most people. And so that's why I don't really have to pay people, and I can kind of tell people like what the terms are and how it's going to go, because for them, it's a very big win, even though they're not getting paid anything, to come speak on the stage. And also hang around with the other guest speakers that I bring in too. It's a great way for them to go and meet them and build relationships with other high-level people. And that's one of the reasons why I'll speak on some of my friends' stages for free, because number one, they're my friends, doing them a favor. Number two, opens me up to a new audience that maybe who doesn't know me. And number three, I get to go meet other guest speakers who are, making things happen, who are really cool. So keep all those things in mind. That's everything I know about throwing events. If I miss something, comment below. Maybe I'll make another video. But hope this helps you in your event endeavors. They're amazing. Get out, throw events this year. It can make you a lot of money. And if you want to learn more about marketing and other things, make sure you click here and watch this next video.